So just hold tight while we wait for everyone else, and we'll get started very shortly. We will get started. So thanks everyone for joining me today. As you all, I'm sure, are aware, my name is Rebecca. I'm the Industry Programs Executive, so I look after the Tourism Awards here in South Australia. It's really great to have a collective of you interested in entering this year, and no doubt I can see many familiar names and faces joining us today. So some of this may not be news to you, but it's always a good refresher to go over the information for the year. Just letting everyone know that this session is being recorded. So if you can all just make sure that your mics are switched off, just so we can have a smooth, very quick session today, but there will be opportunity to ask questions throughout. Now, before we get started, just want to quickly acknowledge that I am joining you from the lands of the Paramank, Ngadjuri and Kaurna people. I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm zooming in from today, as well as all the lands that you're zooming in from today, and just acknowledge that continuous connection to the land and the waterways of South Australia. And I would just like to acknowledge anyone who's joining us online today who identifies as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander. So we're going to have a really quick session about the Tourism Awards. There's a lot of information that you need to digest when it comes to the Tourism Awards, but I am your main contact. So if you do have any questions throughout the year, and particularly after this session, I will have my contact details at the end of this session. So please give me a buzz, email me, let me know if you have any questions or you want to knock some stuff out, particularly when it comes down to the category that you're looking to enter. We're really here to support you here at TICSA. So today we're going to do a really quick run through of the program itself, some of its benefits, the categories that we've got for this year, what the submission requirements look like in a nutshell, how to enter, some key dates and some tips to kind of get you started on your Tourism Awards journey for this year. So just a quick fun facts for you. So as you probably are aware, the Tourism Awards doesn't only run in South Australia, it also runs across the entire country. So I've actually just returned from Darwin, where the Qantas Australian Tourism Awards were held on Friday, and that's where us and a bunch of tourism professionals came from all across the country. We're talking the winners from the Tourism Awards in each state, battling it out against each other to see who's the best of the best in our industry. So I was lucky enough to be joined by all of our wonderful essay winners from the 2023 awards program. And yeah, came away with 10 medals for essay, which is really exciting. 2 golds in particular as well, which was really lovely to see. So yeah, it was a great night. And yeah, that's kind of the full circle of the awards is, you know, going through the process at the state level. But if you do end up winning a gold at the state level, then you do end up going to represent SA at the national scale, which is really exciting. So yeah, this is underpinned by national standards, and it has been running this year officially for 40 years. So we've been celebrating 40 years of national tourism excellence through this program, and also supporting businesses to really develop as a team, as a business. So a couple of fun facts I thought I'd bring to your attention. So last year, 2023, I thought it was really interesting that 70% of our winners were SMEs, which, yeah, I think a lot of people kind of come into this program going, oh, like, especially if you're a small tourism business operator, and looking at, you know, some of the really big businesses and corporations that enter the program, it is a bit daunting, but I think it's really special to see that 70% of the winners from last year are SMEs. And on top of that, We'll go through this in a bit more detail later on, but 91% of our winners over the past 3 years have been quality tourism accredited. And that's really testament to the standards that you go through in that program to ensure that you are, meeting really baseline best practice minimum standards as a tourism operator. And that really underpins the awards excellence. And I think it's, a really critical fact that 91% of businesses that have won in the last few years have been officially accredited. So if it's not something that you're part of yet, I definitely encourage you to become accredited. But again, I will touch on that point a bit further on. Feel free to pop any questions in the chat as well, and I will definitely address them at the end of the session. Now, benefits of entering, I think most of you are pretty familiar with this stuff. So obviously, one of the biggest parts of entering the awards is whether you become a finalist, a medalist, a winner. It is a really fantastic marketing opportunity to say that you're the best of the best in the industry. But on top of that, that process that underpins, the gala dinner that we have in November, we do have a very lengthy process, which a lot of people joke about how torturous and long and so detailed it is, but boy, is it worth it. This is one of the most amazing opportunities to just review and reflect on your business, really boost your team morale, identify opportunities to improve, and just celebrate what you do on a day-to-day basis. First and foremost, as business, not only does it celebrate excellence, but it actually gets you to just stop and reflect and continuously improve as a business. So it's, I always say this year on year, but it's a awards program like no other. It's not simply I'm the best, tick and flick. It's, I've got the data to show you that I am a successful business and I continuously improve year on year. So it's also a great opportunity to network with the judges, industry experts who will have a look at your submission and assist you along the way. But it's also a great opportunity to connect with your peers throughout the industry. So it's certainly a valuable experience. And, don't just take it from me, but take it from other people who have been part of this program. And lovely Anne, I'm not sure, I don't think she's joining us today, but Copper Trails Bike Hire business who runs out of Moonta bike hire and retail store, entered the awards for the first time last year, and won gold in the retail hire services category, which was really exciting for them. And I've had the pleasure to be in contact with Anne from a couple of years ago when they just started up the business, got accredited, and I've been on that journey where after accreditation, they've decided to enter the awards. And you can see that testimonial for yourself, how rewarding, lots of work, really challenging, but at the same time, a really great way to, identify the best parts of your business and how you can continuously improve. So I'm really glad, this is the type of feedback that I get year on year about this program. So it is certainly worth it. So there's actually not too many changes to really go over for this year. It's pretty much, if you entered last year, the category criteria will more or less stay the same, but these are the categories that we do have on offer. So these are 26 different categories that all go to the national level. So I'm sure you would identify as a business with one or more of these. So probably the most challenging starting point is just trying to figure out which category suits you best. So what's involved in your submission? So this is based on a general question set. So please take this, just understanding that for some categories, this does differ slightly in terms of the weighting and the components. But generally speaking, your submission will comprise of a beast of a 10,000 word written submission. Now this year, we're making it really clear that it's up to 10,000 words. So while there isn't a minimum word count, Obviously, you want to make the most of the fact that you've got the opportunity to talk about your business in 10,000 words. If you want a kind of gauge on what the minimum standard would be, it would probably be around, I think 6,000 words is probably pretty comfortable. Any less than that, you're probably not quite hitting all the points that we want to be seeing in your submission. So that's general rule of thumb. But for most categories, 70% of your submission is based on that written submission. So a lot of time and energy goes into that part of your award submission. Consumer rating, that's based on, we'll go into this a bit later, but this is based on your online reviews and what people are saying about you, what your customers are saying about you. So while the written submission is your opportunity to really showcase what you've got, what you've achieved, that consumer rating is making sure that we're bringing in that consumer component and seeing what actual customers are saying about you online. And then we also have the digital assessment where a judge who is separate to the judges that look at your written submission, marketing expert will look at your online presence, your digital presence, to see, what you're delivering on that front as well. With your written submission, you also have the opportunity to use 25 supporting images. And my best piece of advice is make the most out of those 25 images. While you can upload less than that, I really encourage you to make the most of that opportunity. And then we've also got a site verification visit. Now you'll notice there's no percentage attached to that one because it's not actually scored in South Australia. We find that the site verification is always a really positive experience for the judge that comes to visit you. And again, I'll go into further detail with that one, but it's not scored. So no matter the experience the judge gets, it doesn't actually impact your final score. Okay, so I'll just go into some further detail with each component. So like I mentioned, the written submission is up to 10,000 words. For excellence in accessible tourism, it's 4,000, so it's a lot more condensed. The written submission is broken down into 5 different sections. So your introduction, business development, marketing, customer experience, and responsible tourism. Again, this is based on a general question set, so I definitely encourage you to have a look at the category that you're interested in entering to make sure that, this might differ slightly. Again, it's supported by 25 images, and we do provide you with a lot of guidance on this, but just making sure that those images are not a cheat way around cutting down your 10,000 word limit. Those images are there to support what you've written. So it's in no way something that you should be using to introduce new information. It's more of a support mechanism. I'm excited to tell you that the criteria for 2024 will be available hopefully by the end of this week on the TICSA website. So please keep an eye out on that. That'll be all the 2024 criteria available for you to start, kind of looking at how you can best enter this year. And then we have the consumer rating. So that is derived from Review Pro, which is an online reputation management dashboard, which really collates all your online reviews from TripAdvisor, Google, all the booking, booking.com, Expedia and such into one platform. Once you get all those reviews collated, we get a global review index, and that's kind of your average score about derived from what people are saying about you online. Now, in order to get a GRI, you must have a minimum of 25 reviews in the last 12 months, and in particular over that qualifying period. So for those of you interested in entering, which is all of you joining me today, the qualifying period for the award season this year is the 1st of July to the 30th of June. So at TICSA, we do offer everyone who's Quality Tourism accredited a free Review Pro account. So if you are QTAB, I definitely recommend you hopping onto Review Pro and having a look at your GRI. You can actually look at those dates now. Obviously, we haven't yet made it to the 30th of June, but if you pop in the dates from the 1st of July 2023 to today's date, you can kind of gauge where your GRI is at and what you need to do to improve that. Businesses, it's really critical to know that businesses that don't have a GRI will receive a score of 0 for the consumer rating score. And for most categories, that's 20% of your final score. So it is a big chunk to lose. So we'll obviously really support you to make sure that you're in your best position to enter and have a consumer rating score. I'll be sending the slides out and sending the recording out after this presentation. So clicking on the link like here for your free Review Pro account will get you access to that dashboard if you haven't yet familiarized yourself with that. No questions so far. Again, please feel free to pop them into the chat, but I'm hoping no questions means I'm making a whole lot of sense. Now, the digital assessment, so this is for most categories worth 10%, and I believe this is one of the only components in terms of applying to every single category. The consumer rating for some categories doesn't apply, but the digital assessment goes across all of them, worth 10%. And this is where a marketing expert will have a look, and I definitely recommend you to, I'll send this to you, but if you want to take a photo of this now as a little checklist, have a quick, spend 5 minutes after this presentation and look at this little checklist, because this is essentially what a judge will be looking at during the awards period. So making sure, going to your website and making sure that you've got a clear overview of your offering, a clear call to actions. If you're accommodation or tour operator, you should have a nice big book now button. And, I should be able to access it with ease, both on my computer and my mobile device. Your social media should be really highly engaged. You should be posting pretty frequently. And you should be also responding to reviews on a regular basis. And again, if you're QTab, Review Pro will help you out with that as well. Online presence also encompasses things like your ATW listing. So we're looking at big picture kind of thinking, whether or not you're on other booking sites, and whether or not you actually encourage visitation and promote the region that you're in. Having been a judge of this component previously, I will definitely say that promoting your region is probably where most businesses fall short. In the criteria, it specifically says it's not good enough to just say, I'm located in, beautiful Clare Valley. It needs to be, if you can have a page on your website which showcases that, you're in your region, these are some extra things to do, visit your local visitor centre, stuff like that to really promote that visitation to your region on your website is really key. And also consider that kind of information when it comes to social media. So just a post here and there about actually promoting the region that you're located in. Hoping that makes sense. It is still a really important part of the submission, while it's only still 10%. Every percentage really counts, but hopefully this kind of gets you thinking about your online presence. So this is what the program's all about, is making sure that you're constantly thinking about how to do things better. Now, again, the site visit. So like I mentioned before, this is not scored, so you don't need to worry about this actually impacting your final score. But it is a fantastic opportunity to get a judge to come out and visit you, experience your product. It's an opportunity, you spend all that time writing about your submission. This is a chance for a judge to come and visit you and experience what you've got to offer. Since last year, we have put in a bit of criteria for site visits, just particularly for those who enter year on year, just to give you a bit of a break now and then. So if you're a first-time entrant, you will be required to do a site visit this year. If you have entered before, but you're not quality tourism accredited, we also ask that you do a site visit this year. And if you are quality tourism accredited and you're due for your 3-yearly site visit in the next financial year, then you will be required to do a site visit. If you're completely unsure whether or not you're eligible for that site visit this year, just feel free to contact myself or the TIC team, and we'll be able to tell you. The site visit does come with a series of questions. So I guess the site visit is kind of twofold. So one is obviously to get the judge to experience your offering in as authentic a way as possible, just like any other person would experience what you have. But the other part of it is to go through the quality tourism accredited site visit questions, essentially, to ensure that all your policies, procedures, and insurances and whatnot are in place. And again, I think it's a really great opportunity just to touch base with an industry expert and make those connections. Now, how to enter. So most of you are probably here today because you have already expressed your interest in the awards season. If you haven't already, then can click that link once I share this with you, and you will be able to express your interest. Nominations this year, so we're doing things a bit differently. If you haven't heard already, we are opening nominations a bit later this year, so the 1st of May. Traditionally, we do usually open pretty much straight after the national awards, which was last week, but we're giving you a bit of a breather this year. Nominations don't open until May. In saying that, though, the criteria will be up on the website ready to go live shortly. So you'll be able to start preparing yourself for the awards. It's just you won't be able to nominate until May. And then we'll be closing those nominations off on the 17th of June. So you've still got a fair chunk of time to nominate, and hopefully you're already thinking about nominating now. So it should be a pretty straightforward process. And your submissions. So nominating, for those who haven't done this before, nominating is just kind of going through a process where, that link down at the bottom of this slide, you go onto the Quality Tourism Framework portal, and you will nominate your business by popping in very basic details, your business name, best contact, a short blurb that we might use to promote your business, particularly during the gala dinner. So very, very minor details. That's the nomination process. We also ask you to pay for your nomination, which those details are available on our website too. Nomination fees start from $190, depending on how big your business is and if you're a TIC member or not. So nomination period, 1st of May, 17th of June. Your submissions are due on Monday, the 13th of August. So that's a really important date where you'll have that 10,000 word submission, your consumer rating, all of that stuff goes through on that date. So I would definitely start penciling these dates into your calendars now, but that submissions due date is really important. And the gala dinner, Friday, the 1st of November, 2024. So that's pop that into your calendars. I know a lot of people really keen to come along to that, that event. It's an amazing event to get together with other people from industry. So put that one in your calendars for sure. And then just some tips on how to prepare. So if you're not already a TIC member, definitely sign up to become one. You do get discount as a TIC member if you enter the awards. Become Quality Tourism accredited. So going back to that stat that I shared with you earlier, that 91% of our winners for the past 3 years have been QTAB. So I think that just goes to show that the value of the Quality Tourism Accreditation Program really sits nicely with the awards program, and definitely just for that continuous business development, access the niche. If you're already accredited, access niche modules, like if you're an accommodation operator, we've got the STARS ratings program, we've got EcoStar for that commitment to sustainability, the accessible tourism module, and also risk assessment. So these are some of the ways that we can support you. You're still in that qualifying period, so achieving any of these modules is something that you can kind of boast about in your submission. And recently we've also made a few of the niche modules like EcoStar accessible and risk assessment free, so it's definitely worth investing your time into. If you are accredited, make sure you register for your Review Pro account so you can really gauge where your consumer rating component is sitting at. Keep an eye out for the criteria on the TKSA website. Like I mentioned, it will be available very shortly on our website, so you can kind of start planning for what data you should be collecting at this point in time and start curating those 25 images that will support your written submission. If you don't have them already, then it's probably a good time right now to invest in getting some professional photos taken. And it's not just professional photos too, it's things like data, screenshots of, engagement on your social media platforms, all that kind of stuff helps towards supporting your written submission. Think about those 5 sections of your written submission too. And I think a really sound piece of advice is to create some folders on your desktop or whatever, and start collating data for, your intro, your business development section, the responsible tourism section. So, in your day-to-day, rather than getting caught up in all of it, think about, oh, great, I've just achieved something. I'm going to put that in that folder and store that away for the awards written submission component. Going back to Review Pro, make sure you collect those 25 plus reviews. So if you haven't already, that's probably a goal to work towards during this financial year to ensure that you get a decent consumer rating score. Do a self-assessment of your digital presence. So like I said previously, just use that as a checklist, my little slide earlier, to kind of gauge where your digital presence score would be sitting at. And pass entrance, make sure you log into the QTF portal and access your judges' feedback from last year or previous years if you didn't enter last year. And definitely pencil in those dates on my previous slide to make sure you've got, kind of manage your time well to, be best prepared for your all those key dates in the awards season. And on top of those key dates, we will be providing, as usual, a lot of support for entrants. So not only will we have written support that you can just access at any point in time, but we'll be doing webinars as well. So we will have those key dates live on our website too. So just make sure you make the most of that as well. But we always like to record it because we always know that you're also very busy in your day-to-day lives, running our industry. So we do record them so you can watch at your leisure. And you will be sick of me by the end of this program if you do enter. I can count on that. Now, questions. Let's see. Thank you, Katina. Monday, August 12th. Sorry, it's Tuesday. Tuesday, if I look at my calendar, it's definitely the 13th of August. And I think that may be a Tuesday. 13th of August. Yes, it is a Tuesday, Katina. Thank you. And I did get your question as well, Katina. Thanks for sending that through when you registered for this webinar. I know you had a couple of dates and such that may not work with the awards program. So I'm happy to work with you to make sure that if you need to pop in your submission a bit earlier than we've got planned, then we can definitely support you in getting that done. So that's completely fine. And I did have a question as well. I think it was Sally from Woodhouse. What was the question again? I think the question was about changes for 2024. So as I mentioned before, there's actually not too many changes for this year. We do like to, or the Nationals do like to try and keep things pretty consistent over a couple years and get any major changes done after, you're kind of settled for a couple of years and then major changes to follow after. But I think apart from a few changes in perhaps the events and festivals question set, which is more so to do with the fact that the online review doesn't really take into account, the fact that, say, for instance, if the Fringe entered, during the awards period, the fringe isn't actually on, so there's no call to action. So they've just kind of tidied that up a bit. But beyond that, there's actually not too many differences or changes to the 2024 criteria, which is good for consistency, particularly for those who entered last year. Just checking any questions. That's all good. Dylan's on top. Darwin time, which is great. We had a great time in Darwin celebrating Port Lincoln Visitor Centre. Well done, guys. Cool. No more questions. So I'm hoping that all made sense. This is a very short session compared to our previous years, but I think really good opportunity just to do a quick refresher of all the requirements for this year. And yeah, all the kind of the nuts and bolts and the real detail to this year's program will be available online very soon. And I'm hoping that you all can have a bit of a breather and enter the awards, come May, but you'll be in a really good position and a really organized and well thought out position by May. So hopefully that works in your favor. Now, no more questions. That's good. So we're on time, half an hour. So thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be sending this recording and the slides in a PDF form for you shortly. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email or phone me, particularly once those category questions are live. Let's chat out which category might be best suited to your business. And you're all signed up for our comms, so I'm sure you'll see all the updates for this year's awards. But yeah, hoping you all have a lovely day, and we'll see you all very shortly. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.